So it is this assignment in Google Classroom. It says ladder method guided practice. You can either print this off or get a clean sheet of paper, or if you know how to, split the screen, have my video playing, and then have this pulled up on your computer, and you can type in what I'm writing on here, okay? So those, again, are your three options. Is you can print, use a clean sheet of paper, or type in the actual document. You're not turning this document into me, so it doesn't really matter how you go about with this one. All right, so we are going to basically find the greatest common factor of these numbers. So I'm going to scroll this down because that's just instructions. So our first one that we're going to do right here is 27 and 36. Ms. Soto decided to give us a hard one to begin with. So 27 and 36. They're not even numbers, or they're not both even numbers. So we can't really use a trick to help us figure out the the greatest common factor of 27 and 36. So I'm going to go to the side, and I'm going to do like how we did in the last problem. I'm going to create a table, and I'm going to list the factors or the numbers that can be multiplied together to give me 27 and 36. So I automatically know 1 and 27 can automatically give me 27. I want y'all to think, is there a number or is there other factors that can be multiplied together to give me 27? If you know your facts very well, you know that 3 times 9 gives us 27. Now let's go down to 36 because nothing else can be multiplied together to give me 27. So I'm done with 27. Now let's go to 36. 1 and 36 is a given factors of 36. What else can we multiply together to give me 36? Now 36 is an even number, so we can automatically do 2. So if you thought 2 times something, we'll do 2, and then 36 divided by 2 gives me 18. So we have 2 and 18. Can you think of anything else to give me 36? If you're thinking 3 and 12, you are correct. And then I think there's one more set of factors that could be multiplied together to give me 36. And that is 4 and 9. So 36 has a lot more factors than 27 does. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to circle all of the factors that 27 and 36 have in common, besides 1, because that's obviously a given. So 27 and 36 both have 3 in common, and they also both have 9 in common. So I want to decide, okay, we have 3 and 9. Those are my two numbers. Which one do I want to start off with to figure out what my greatest common factor is? Now, some of y'all probably already see it. And if you already see it, that is perfectly fine. But I'm going to work it out as if y'all don't see it right now. So let's say I decide to put 3 on the outside of my ladder rung. So I'm going to erase the rest of this so it's not all over the place. So I'm going to put 3 on the outside because I'm like, hey, that's a common factor. I want to use that one. So now, just like how we did in the first problem, I'm going to divide 27 by 3 and 36 by 3. So when I do that, 27 divided by 3 is 9. So I'm going to write 9 underneath here. Or if you're typing this out, just type 9 on the line. It's okay if it shifts it a little bit. And then I'm going to divide 36 by 3. 36 divided by 3 is 12. So now I'm stuck with 9 and 12. Now unfortunately, both of these numbers are not even. Now, however, these are smaller numbers, so we should know the multiplication facts to create 9 and 12. If you're thinking in your head, oh, both of them have 3 in common, you are 100% correct. So I'm going to write 3 on the outside. Now, if you did not know that 9 and 12 have 3 in common, that would be where you would draw a table and then list all the factors out like how we've been doing. But to make this video not a 50-minute video, I am skipping that step. So now, like how we did at the top, I'm going to divide 9 by 3 and then 12 by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then 12 divided by 3 is also 3. No, it's not. Instead of 12 divided by 3 is 4. Got really excited for a second. So now 3 and 4 are both prime numbers. Well, they're not both prime numbers. 4 is not a prime number. But there's no other factor that both of these numbers have in common besides 1. So it's okay if one of the numbers is not a prime number. Both of them can't have more than one factor that they have in common. So we just want to make sure that the only number that the last row has in common is 1. And if it doesn't, you would just add another line and keep going until the bottom two numbers only have the number 1 in common. So since 3 and 4, they don't share any other factors, we're done with our ladder. But remember, we have to find our GCF, which is the greatest common factor. So I have to multiply 3 times 3 to figure out what the GCF is. So I'm going to do 3 times 3, and that gives me 9. So my GCF equals 9. All right, now we're going to move on to this side. And then I think there's only 6 problems on the front page. We'll see. I don't remember. All right, so now we have 54 and 60. Now, remember how I said 54, whenever the numbers are even, we can automatically divide by 2. Now, these are some pretty big numbers though, but I'm still gonna divide by 2. I'm gonna stick with my word. You don't have to divide by 2 if you're already catching on, but if you want to still have me guide you in this practice, just roll with me. I will not guide you off course, I promise. So I'm gonna put 2 on the outside. And like how we've been doing, I'm gonna divide the numbers on the inside by 2. Now, I don't have this information at the top of my head. So I'm gonna go over here on the side, and I'm a big fan of using scratch paper or writing on the side of the paper or flipping the paper over, just so y'all can do some scratch work. I'm all about scratch work because you cannot do everything in your head. I can't do everything in my head, and I've been teaching for 5 years and I'm 26. Still can't do everything inside my head. I need to write it down sometimes. So over here on the side, I'm going to divide 54 divided by 2. You should have learned this in 5th grade because I taught it when I taught 5th grade. So you should have learned this. So I'm going to do, what can I multiply together to give by 2 to give me 5? The closest number is 2, so I'm going to put 2 at the top. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. If you remember what I do next, I bring down that 4. 2 can go into 14 7 times. 7 times 2 is 14, and we have zeroed out. So 54 divided by 2 is 27, so we're going to write 27 on the inside. Let me erase this. Now do the same thing for 60 divided by 2. 2 can go into 6 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. Bring down that 0. Now, my answer is not 3 because I still have to figure out how many times 2 can go into 0. That's something that a lot of people mess up on. 2 can go into 0 0 times. 0 times 2 is 0. Subtract it out. So 60 divided by 2 is 30. Now I'm going to erase that. So now we're at 27 and 30. Smaller numbers, but they're still pretty big numbers. Now, another issue we have is both of them are not even numbers, so I can't use the 2 trick. I have to actually think about the facts that they have in common. Now, if you already know from your head, like you can already tell what factor they have in common, that is great. Use it. If not, work with me. So on this side, I'm going to draw a table for 27 and 30 so I can list the factors that they have in common. I always start with 1 because I know that's the easiest factor to think of. 27 has 1 and 27. What else can I multiply together to get me 27? If you're thinking 9 times 3, you are correct. So I'm going to have 9 and 3. And then there's nothing else. There's no other numbers that can be multiplied together to give me 27. So now I'm going to move down to 30. As always, I like to start really easy. So I'm going to do 1 and 30. Now, what other numbers or factors can I multiply together to give me 30? I want y'all to think about this. That's why I'm taking pauses. If you're going in order a little bit, the next number that pops in your head could be 2. So I know that 2 times 15 gives me 30. And then if you are, again, going in order, you know 3 and 10 gives you 30. And then what is another pair? I think there's one more. Yeah, there's one more. If you're saying it out loud or saying it kind of like, Miss Odo, hurry up and get through this, it is 5 and 6, if that's what you're thinking. So these are all of the factors of 27 and 30. So we're going to do what we did on this side, and we're going to circle all of the numbers that 27 and 30 have in common. We obviously have 1, so I'm not going to really circle that. They both have 3 in common. Are there any other numbers that you see that I may be missing? No, there's not. So, over here, I'm going to write 3 on the outside of my ladder rung. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and divide 27 by 3 and 30 by 3. 27 divided by 3 is 9. And then 30 divided by 3 is 10. Are there any other numbers that I can multiply together to give me both 9 and 10 besides the number 1? If you're saying no, then you're right. If you're saying yes, don't get confused because only numbers that can be multiplied together to give me 9 are 1 and 9 and then 3 and 3. 10 is only 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. So the only factor they have in common is 1, and that's a really small number. So we're done at this point. So like how we did over here in the problem previous, we're going to multiply 2 times 3 to get our GCF. So 2 times 3 equals 6. So our greatest common factor of 54 and 60 is 6.